Well, good morning. This is part 2 of Come and Sit With Me. Bring your tea while I read and chat a little bit. I received permission from the author of this book that I'll be reading from. His name is Bob Frissell. And the name of the book, it's an older book, and it's called Nothing in This Book is True, but It's Exactly How Things Are. I wrote Bob Frissell and asked his permission and received permission to read this to you. I'm not making any money from this. It's just to share the information because we are in unprecedented times. So my reasoning is I don't want anyone to be afraid. I don't want anyone to be worried of my beautiful and wonderful subscribers and dear, dear friends here on YouTube and the community that we have here that I so appreciate. For spiritual and entertainment purposes only, I have heard in chat some people asking, how will I know if I'm moving from third into fifth? And that sparked in me a desire to assuage fears. Because we are in all the dimensions all the time. You don't need to worry. You do not need to worry about this. It's our attention that moves. And we are such vast spiritual beings that only a little tiny bit of us fits in a physical vehicle, which I think is why we have clairs to begin with. Those are our subtle and etheric bodies speaking through us and to us. That's what they're for. That's how we become aware of them as our awareness grows. And then those gifts become a part of our everyday life. And we look to them for guidance and to share our gifts. That is certainly what I am attempting to do now. Remembering my dreams more, writing them down. Trusting what I know. Trusting that what I share will be received by those that need to hear it. So if this resonates with you today, then by all means, enjoy with my blessings. If it does not, leave. Find something else that does meet your needs. This is a safe space, 100% divine diamond light. So, I wanted to begin reading a little bit. The book does, some of the parts I'm skipping are about Egypt because that really doesn't do anything for me. What I am interested in is this, on page 85, included in the chapter titled Earth History. And before I start reading, I want to apologize for the poor quality of the video that is out in the backyard. I'm so sorry. I will be taking that one down because it's impossible to hear anything. So I went to a new microphone, a different microphone, and I have the house to myself, so I'm speaking more clearly, more loudly. So hopefully this one will be much easier for you to enjoy. Okay, Earth History, page 85. Book by Bob Frissell, shared with permission. Every single life form on the planet has a grid, an electromagnetic, geometrically shaped energy field connected with it. Even if that species exists only on one spot on Earth, its grid extends around the whole planet. These grids subtend an average of 60 feet from inside the Earth to about 60 miles above it. If you were to see them superimposed over each other, it would look like a light, white-blue haze coming off the Earth. The most intelligent, advanced, oldest life form on this planet is the whales. Next are the dolphins, then humans. The whales have been on this planet, conscious and alive, for 500 million years. They hold the memory of the planet. Without the whales, we would have no memory. We would be lost. The dolphins have been here around 35 million years. They even came out and walked on land for a while and decided against it. These creatures are amazingly aligned with humans. They are mammals, not fish, and both sides of their brains function at 100%. When they sleep, they turn off half their brain. We only have half our brains working at any time, and the other half is shut down. Or so they would have us believe. Of the half that is on, only 5 to 10% is used. So from the dolphin's perspective, we are not only asleep, we are also unconscious, or had been. There are 3 grids for human consciousness around the planet. The first one is 42 plus 2. The one that we are in now is 44 plus 2. Well, actually, we are also in that third one, which is the Christ consciousness grid of 46 plus 2. Without the grid, no planet could go into that level. Moving ahead, if you knew how to change your consciousness wavelength and rotate by 90 degrees, you would discover your innate ability to travel interdimensionally. You would rapidly go through the colors of the rainbow and then disappear from this reality in a ball of light. You would end up in whatever dimensional world you had been tuned to, and you would be just as real there as you were here. However, each dimensional level is completely different, and you must be consciously mature enough to handle the higher or lower vibrations of the level you have just entered into. If not, you will be sent right back to the world from which you came. There are certain beings, perhaps many of them, who have progressed to the point where they are able to go anywhere and remain conscious and stable. The act of learning how to move through all 144 dimensional levels, the 12 dimension and the harmonic overtones of each of them, teaches beings how to go across the Great Wall and into the next octave. The person then comes out the other side and sees the big picture, with the realization that all of creation repeats itself over and over. At that point, there is a decision to make, to go beyond all of creation and back to the source that is outside of this created reality, or to remain here. Life then uses the ones that stay to heal interdimensional problems. They all have one interpretation of the reality. They understand there's one spirit moving through them, and they are really like cells in a larger body. We have all been around since the very beginning, and we will be around until the end, and we will have been all there at one time or another. We have been at the highest levels and at the lowest, with many stops in between. Let's consider the possibility that there are perhaps 10 million or so Melchizedeks, that's what a person like this would be called, in the galaxy, one of whom's on planet Earth. According to Dromvalo, Makavenda Melchizedek is the person who is assigned from Galactic Center to be with us from the moment of our inception. The Great White Brotherhood and what you might call the Great Dark Brotherhood are 2 bodies of consciousness opposed to each other in every imaginable way. Makavenda, as well as all Melchizedeks, is from the Great White Brotherhood, a body of beings for which there are 72 orders, that does everything it can to advance our evolution, while its dark counterpoint does everything it can to induce fear and delay evolution. These seemingly opposing forces tend to balance each other out, so that our evolution takes place at exactly the right time, neither too soon nor too late. Viewed from a higher level, the 4th dimension or above, this is unity consciousness. The 2 are just different aspects of the one spirit working in harmony. It is only because we are down in the midst of polarity consciousness that we see it in terms of good and evil. Due to amazing events that happened in 72, I guess those are described elsewhere, the Great Dark Brotherhood, who, by the way, knew it was going to happen, enlisted 4 additional members from the star system of Orion, while the Great White Brotherhood sent 4 of their own in response to this. Now let's see if we can track the descent of a Melchizedek person, perhaps you, from the heights of the 13th dimensional realm down to the level of the 3rd dimension, where self-aware consciousness first appears. You would begin by placing a veil over your memory of the 13th dimension. Why? Because to have memory now of life there would be just too painful. You could not exist here in the denseness of 3rd and maintain full memory of what that level of life is like. Your descent down through the many levels would of necessity be a slow one, to give you time to acclimate. From the 13th dimension, you would be given a movement pattern and use it to traverse through the great void. You would maintain this pattern for a long time, perhaps for millions of years. However, since time is of the higher worlds is spherical, it may also be only a moment. Regardless, you would continue to move until light reappeared. If your final destination was 3rd dimensional Earth, you would be met by Mech Avinda. I don't know who that is. Then you would go through the center of a nebula, the middle star in the belt of Orion. This is one of primary stargates to other dimensional levels. For instance, there are 13 different stargates in our galaxy, but the middle star in the belt of Orion is a special one. At this stargate, great light and great darkness operate very close together. Many of the grays emanate from precisely this part of the galaxy. After going through the belt of Orion, because the Pleiades is a galactic university, you would most likely go there, to a planet where its inhabitants dwell in the higher overtones of the 4th dimension, and all learning is accomplished through pleasure and joy. All teaching utilizes games. As you continue to wind your way slowly down through the dimensional levels, you would likely make your way to the 3rd planet out from Sirius B, to a world that is mostly all ocean. The Sirians are also on the 4th dimension, but on a lower overtone. They do not yet experience joy and pleasure to the same degree as the Pleiadians, but they are getting there. At the time this book was written, on this maritime planet, who better to connect with than an orca whale? Since the whales hold the memory patterns of the 500 million year history of the Earth, you would be thoroughly brought up to speed. When it's time to move on, let's suppose you were taken to a landmass and given an already made adult Sirian body whose cells create the memory pattern of how to run the Sirian ship that was also given to you, along with a full crew and a prepared flight pattern for Earth. You would fly from Sirius B right through the middle of Sirius A. You would pass successfully by tuning into the same vibration as the sun so that hot is no longer hot. 90 seconds later, you would come out through our sun. This is because of our intimate connection with Sirius. Using this maneuver, you then reach the orbital field of Venus, the world containing the Hathor race, the most advanced beings in this solar system. Venus is in fact the headquarters for our solar system. You must first get permission from the Hathors in order to enter. This is my opinion I am inserting. When I heard and read, I don't know what the Hathor race is. So at face value, they're described as the most advanced being in the solar system. Okay, Venus is in fact the headquarters for our solar system. So what I immediately see when I read that sentence, Venus is in fact headquarters for our solar system, I'm looking at our solar system as they relate to our chakras. I'm looking at the solar system as if it were a living, breathing, alive being. And I am associating Venus with the heart chakra. This is my own opinion I am asserting here. That I find very, very interesting, because we're activating our higher hearts, where we have parented ourselves whole, we have our childlike wonder, and love and forgiveness are like breathing. We breathe not only through the top of our head, but with our lungs and our whole entire body. We realize we are part of a much bigger story. We realize we are here to be of service. There is joy in it. There is joy, there is hope, there is connection where there used to be loneliness. There is connection in our community. Us encouraging one another and applauding our successes and yay, and all those wonderful things that we do here in this YouTube community, for example. This reminds me of this sentence: Venus is in fact the headquarters for our solar system. You must first get permission from the Hathors in order to enter. I am inserting my opinion again. The Hathors, I don't know who those are, but I imagine if we are in a field of oneness, perhaps they have tea, high tea with our higher selves. Because you remember, I see our higher selves as nesting dolls, so that is why we can never be separated from them or be cut off and all alone. Our attention can wander, we can experience many things, but in truth we are not alone. We are always loved and supported and protected. We are always right where we need to be. So that's interesting. Okay, back to the book. Then, as you entered Earth's atmosphere, you would leave your Syrian body and ignite into a ball of light, and you would study and learn from the ascended masters. Okay, I'm inserting my opinion again. I have been made aware that the ascended masters are about the 8th dimension, 8th to 10th dimension, something right around there. So when we meditate and we are given pictures through our third eye and we see colors and we feel emotion, that would be our high heart, our emotional body, because we reach our spiritual body through our emotional body. So when we're taking care of our physical body and we are keeping guard, so to speak, over our mental body, so we're not allowing garbage in, we're not watching garbage or reading garbage, things that, and by garbage I mean lower density things that ignite fears and angers. Those are a little bit of a waste of energy if you're doing that for fun. I know this because I did it for quite some time until I outgrew it. And outgrowing it didn't hurt a bit. My attention just moved into happier things. And that was done after a lot of healing. So I'm not judging it because I needed those at that time to reach the level of healing that I needed to do next. So there's truly no judgment about that. But I find that there's so many clues in our language, and as we look across the experiences of our lives, or like the year that I spent looking at other religions, I'm hearing these little touchstone words and phrases that remind me of things that I heard then that were perhaps either misunderstood or misused. But still, clues are clues. So we are thankful for all the clues that bring us to our present moment. And when we can put that together, that's like us putting our puzzle pieces of ourselves together. So it's very much worth doing. Okay, back to the book. You would find these ascended masters. Dun, 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 dun. Okay, this says where you would find the ascended masters on the higher overtones of the 6th dimension. Okay, I'm still sticking with what I know. I'm going to trust me over a book. There you go. You would find them ready and willing to assist you and prepare you as best they could for the harsh realities of polarity, consciousness, and third-dimensional Earth. You would then either be born into a baby's body or walk into the body of an adult. Since all of this would be agreed upon from the levels of galactic command. The person who left would be given in return something very special. And I remember hearing a lot about walk-ins. This is my opinion again. I remember hearing a lot about walk-ins in the 80s. I had a reader once tell me that I was one. I did not know what to do with that information, so I just kind of left it on the floor, so to speak. It didn't resonate deeply, but it was curious to me. So I kind of sort of let that little bit of knowledge float around on an index card of my mind. Because as someone who sees and knows sometimes, I have had experiences where I have known that a person, perhaps for spiritual and entertainment purposes only, the reason that we encourage ourselves and each other to, at the end of each day, say, any energies that do not belong to me, leave now. Any energies of mine that I may have left throughout my day, I call back, transmuted and welcomed home to my heart as I prepare for wholeness. The reason that is done is because you can pick up sort of like spiritual lint if you're around a bunch of, you go shopping, somebody's angry around you or upset or fretting, or you don't even have to know the circumstances. You'll feel the lint all the same. You'll feel like you can't hold a thought in your head. You'll feel very scattered. You will have a hard time completing thoughts and sentences. This is a good and indicative sign that will tell you you need to ground, release any energies that do not belong to you. Not a judgment, nothing to fear. It's just a matter of spiritual hygiene, of keeping your energy clean. It will save you a lot of misinterpretations and a lot of frustration to just be walking in your own energy. Okay. I'm sorry, I went a little bit off track there. All of this sounds incredible, right? Back to the book. And of course, this story is so fantastic that it couldn't possibly be true. But what if it is? Let's consider the possibility that most of us are not from here. Our point of origin is somewhere other than planet Earth. We are extraterrestrial masters, multidimensional beings having a human experience. There are tens of millions of ETs on this plane. Some have been here for a very long time. Others are more recent arrivals. They are all lending their consciousness to the planet's evolution. Some are more aware of their roles than others. The value in knowing whether you are an extraterrestrial or not is in expanding your picture of reality. If you are a human, then you are a being who has lost your spirituality and must somehow regain it. If you are an ET, then you are a spiritual force in the universe that is channeling itself through this human embodiment to serve the planet. The entire universe rearranges itself to accommodate your picture of reality. Your identity, your sense of who you are, is the major element in your picture of reality. So which would you prefer? Remembering that on the fourth dimension you are a Christ consciousness being, and you came here to bring your love, light, and wisdom to assist the planet in its transition. And what if, this is my opinion, and what if we are both? What if we are both? Because we are humaning. We are in the beautiful human bodies that Mother has gifted us. that are so finely attuned to this beautiful planet that they could not be more perfect for the purpose that you are here to fulfill this walk. Please appreciate the gift that is given. I am reminded of something like if we were to picture, this is me talking, if we were to picture the sun as our mind and the moon as our heart, and where is Earth? Beautifully beneath our feet, grounding us perfectly. But in the chakra system, where is Earth? I think my Earth is my higher heart. And I'm so happy to be in a time where the goddess energy is rising, because that goddess energy, that female energy, allows me to hold conflicting ideas at the same time and see which pieces of those puzzles fit mine, which information sparks my own knowings and rememberings, whatever is needed for the next step of growth, whatever is needed to remember who we are. One of the things that I talk about is healing yourself whole, bringing yourself home to your heart. How the heck do you do that? A little example, and these little examples pile up into a day. And if you do them often, they all pile into weeks and months and years. And it adds up. Like, let's say, I had a very uncomfortable meltdown feeling a couple of days ago. I got triggered, my emotional body got triggered. The things that I were feeling was not positive. But I also knew that this was a knee-jerk reaction by my emotional body, and that something inside was coming forward for healing, to come home to my heart. So I felt the feels because they washed over me. It was a little bit of like, it wasn't really a choice, I just felt them. And then I was upset, and I went outside. I talked to the sky. I'm like, this isn't real. This feeling of less than, this is not real. This is something, this aspect needs healing. So even though I was frustrated, I was like, come home to my heart. You don't need to feel this way anymore. How old is this part? And it was quite young, between 5 and 7 years old. This part I felt left out and heard and felt left behind at the time of this injury. So anything that touched upon this injury, because the injury wanted to come home to my heart, it would use these opportunities to say, hey, I'm here, so to speak. So this time I said, welcome home to my heart. I'm 63. You don't need to feel this way anymore. This is not our reality any longer. I am happy to welcome this opportunity to welcome you home to my heart, little one. It's like parenting yourself, because it's the child self of us that has the magic, that can imagine, that can manifest highest dreams. So it comes forward and it bubbles up with these things that need loved without judgment. And it's just that simple. That's how we gather ourselves back home to our hearts. Our high heart understands this, is able to stay in that witnessing awareness, realizing that this aspect is coming forward for healing. And that's how we behave from our highest heart. Or that's how I behaved 2 days ago from my highest heart to the best of my ability. And I gave thanks. I thanked my ancestors, angels, and guides for helping me and asked them to please keep helping me. And they do. So it's really that simple. There's nothing to be afraid of or worry about. I know I often think I'm not doing enough. I always want to be doing a little bit more. So the lesson is for me lately has been to rest and stop pushing. And that's been a tough one, but I did it. I slept better than I have in 3 months. So it does work. It does accomplish. We do accomplish what we intend to here. If we just allow more of Source to move through us and treat ourselves more kindly, the way that we would offer kindness and comfort to another. We need to do that for ourselves as well. So the next chapter in this book is an introduction to sacred geometry, and I have perused it and looked through the many pictures, and it's a lot of info, and I'm not sure that it's pertinent to what I'm trying to share at this time. I wanted to assuage any fears or concerns. No one's going to be left behind. You don't need to know every perfect thing and every perfect name of a thing to join in your own ascension. That's not required. We're humaning. And some of the things that are put forth, I don't know that I agree with them. I don't swallow anything whole. I look at it and say, well, does this fit with any of the clues I've gathered thus far? Are there any further clues that I might glean here? Is there anything that I'm finding that I want to share with others because I think it will be helpful? In chapter 12, he speaks of breathing and prana, and that I would like to go back to. I read it last night, and it speaks of Christ consciousness and spherical breathing, and it's very detailed, and I have not done it yet. But that might be something for us to visit together later, after I'm a bit more familiar with what that is, because if it can help me connect more fully to my higher self, or I really want to be more connected with Pan, the god of the wood, because there are so many ways to find your way home to Creator. And if you prefer finding that through nature, then Pan is the man to do that with. But as I look at chapter 19, it is entitled Connecting to Source. And I want to share a little bit of this with you. I read a little bit of this last night. So even though we think of ourselves as living on earth in a human body, we are also existing multidimensionally. We have been previously connected to our higher aspects, but we lost it after the fall of Atlantis 13,000 years ago. Our higher level, our higher self, has higher selves connected to higher selves until the waveform level of universes is transcended. If we can reconnect, we can get clear guidance from within. We are present in life, and we are able to live in a manner that seems impossible to us now, or did. Reconnecting is not channeling, it's just reconnecting the severed aspects of ourselves. In Atlantis, prior to the fall, we were in unity. Now, please remember, I relate more 100,000 million times closer to Lemurian than Atlantis. I kind of have a bone to pick with Atlanteans. I don't know what the heck they did, but it effed everything up. We had transpersonal memory, meaning what was available to one was available to the whole body. We can only experience our intimate connection with our biosphere. We stand apart from it and try to control it. We don't experience oneness with each other either. We are oftentimes more interested in getting ahead than getting along. What happened in the fall is that we moved from our hearts that only know unity to our minds that only know separation. We became our minds and thus became separated from our true nature. The mind is polarized. We see good and evil. We are constantly judging it. There's no such thing as polarity. For every polarity you can think of, there is always that third, middle, or unifying component. For example, for black and white, there is gray. For hot and cold, there is warm. You can go on and on with that. In fact, time is also in threes: past, present, future. And so is space. Macroism, the space in which we live; microism. So are mathematical sequences. If you have 3 consecutive numbers, you can easily configure the whole entire sequence. We exist in threes too: higher self, middle self, and lower self. When we are perceiving reality from our mind, we are living from our middle self. We are cut off from source, well, not ever truly, and only see the illusion of polarity. We must first go down in the process of reconnecting our severed aspects so we can see and live wholeness again. We must first connect with our lower self. The lower self is our subconscious mind. It is a child, about 2 to 6 years old. The lower self is not just our own subconscious mind. It is the subconscious mind of the entire planet with which we are connecting. We have lost this bond. We have severed our relationship with the earth, or no, we haven't. And we very much need to reconnect. But of course, once you have connected with the lower self, you can make connection with the higher self, but you can't force it. It will happen only when the lower self knows you are ready, and it will then arrange it. This explains so much to me personally, because I cannot tell you how many times, this is just me inserting my opinion again, a part of my own story. I can't tell you how many times I have went to meditations, joined groups. I was in women's group way in the 90s, in moon lodges, and you would say opening prayers or closing prayers with groups. And there would be so much meditating and journeying, so much shamanic journeying. And I did lots of sweat lodge with trusted and beloved family, friends. And I never saw what they saw. I would cry and cry so many times that I didn't meet a guide, and I didn't meet the power animals that they did. I would need to. I went out in the world and experienced them, and saw them like Bear when no one else did. But it's only now in my 60s that I understand why it has been this way. It has been very arduous for me and very lonely. And trying to figure this out, I have cried to the sky a million times, wondering what was wrong with me. But you know what? There was nothing wrong with me. There was healing. I needed to heal that child. I needed to emotionally mature enough to parent myself and to collect those scattered parts of me and gather them back home to my heart, healing them as I did so. And that took time. I went to professional counseling for over 17 years, and it was wonderful. Helped me enormously once I found the right counselor, who it just so happened we have the same birthday. So how serendipitous. How thank you, Spirit, ancestors, angels, and guides for helping every step of the way. They hear our cries, they hear what we most want, and they try to steer us or encourage us. They can't even steer us. They can just sort of pop up, pop this little thing up, pop that person in your path, or this idea in your head, or that color, or everything they can think of to give us clues so that we'll know to keep going. And as that child self has been healed and welcomed home, then the connection begins to get stronger. So, just a footnote here. If you hear someone who's still kind of triggered by trauma and relives those experiences as they speak of them, please don't correct them. They are right where they need to be. We've all been there. Don't judge them either, because we've all been there. Just say a good prayer. There was something that BC said that just took my breath away, but in a really good way. George and BC. And BC said, I had written her an email asking her if we could connect. And she wrote back she had to have a surgery and would contact me when she was feeling better. And she did get through the surgery, but I don't know. I haven't heard back from her. But when she signed off, she said, Annie, I love you, and I see you healed and whole. And when I read that, I just started crying because it felt like I knew she's such a heartfelt, loving person. I knew she meant it. And I felt it. I felt the love, just love. I see you healed and whole. So if you see people or hear them and they're still kind of dragging their stories around and reliving them as they tell them, just see them healed and whole. That's all we need to do, is just see them healed and whole. Because we all get there at exactly the right time. We're not supposed to wake up all at once or all of us at the same time. That's why this wave of awareness that includes all of us ascending our consciousness into our high heart with Earth. Earth is the star of this show, and we are going with her. So each time we heal a little bit, we are helping ourselves, but we are also helping the greater whole. And that is the only way I know how to look at oneness without getting overwhelmed. So I sincerely hope that sharing this is helpful to you. So I am happy to share that with you. And I appreciate my ancestors, angels, and guides helping me speak, helping me share my voice. Because I've had a little bit of a hard time doing that. Okay, back to the book. Once you have connected with the lower self, you can make connection with the higher self, but you can't force it. Oh, I read that part. It will happen only when the lower self knows you're ready, and then it will arrange it. And then he speaks of the movie, that wonderful movie, I really like that movie, Contact, with Jodie Foster and her character, and how her character developed. And her character began as a small child and then was a scientist who thought we moved more into her brain, and uses that as a beautiful analogy. Perhaps another part of it is the adult trap we've fallen into of looking to find fulfillment from outside sources, from our circumstances. Yeah, if you only had a better job, or if only you had the right relationship, then your whole life would turn out. But you will never find contentment, much less your true self, by looking outside. You find it only by going inside. You begin by acknowledging your wholeness and bringing that into your life situations. Use that as a place to come from. Children are not waiting to see if they can find gratification from their circumstances. They bring their sense of awe and wonder and innocence into whatever they're doing. And then whatever they are doing becomes a place in which to experience and express the context of wholeness that they have naturally created. And we can do that too. We have to rediscover our childlike innocence. Children are not in their minds. They are not living life conceptually. They are not going through the motions. They are experiencing life directly. They are present, and they are functioning naturally from their higher centers, from their higher selves, where awe and wonder and adventure and joy and peace exist in infinite supply. They only know unity. So that, I think, is the gem that I wish to share today. As we heal, we are introduced once again to our own magic. And that is definitely worth finding in yourself. You are beautiful, you are loved, you are protected. You are here on purpose. You are appreciated, you are a gem. And I thank you so much for stopping by and having a cup of tea and listening to me chat and read. I really appreciate it. And I look forward to reading your comments. Thank you so much. Bye for now.